Viewers, this is satellite media. We are looking at what is happening currently in Nigeria because we understand that the issue that has to do with P2B incastration is gaining attention by the day. The other time, we saw list of 50 lawmakers, particularly from House of Representatives, calling for the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. And what is spectacular in that list is that we saw names from some strange quarters. I'm talking about some names from Borno, Katsina, as far as other part of the country like Kogi, South, Rivers, Delta. So I think we have a new dimension to it. Seeing someone like Peter Gregory, I'm talking about the last, the presidential candidate of Labour Party in the last Nigerian presidential election, joining the call for the release of Peter Obi. And in his call, he said Nigeria is in for state capture and that he's calling on the president and the government to respect the rule of law. Mr. Chinedu Michael, let's first of all look at the call for the release of Nnamdi Kanu coming from a politician before we go into the issue of state capture.
Like what the 50 lawmakers just said, then they said is overdue. You know, when that word, go and check the meaning of that word is overdue. And it is being believed that he's being victimized. You know, the 50 lawmakers were, you know, if you take a proper rundown on that press release, you discover that, you know, it looks like if there is something Nigerians or the public doesn't know the reason why he's still being held there. You know, they made a lot of references, and the government, you know, are trying to do a kind of damage control because they know that, you know, they cannot win Nnamdi Kanu in the court. You know, because he has not committed any crime. Like what the lawmakers also say, he has not committed any crime. Now we're keeping him, you know, illegally. You know, just suffering him because maybe it's because he's an Igbo man, you know. And you know, with time now, people begin to read meaning into it. The international community begin to read meaning into it. Experts all over the world, security experts begin to read meaning into it. You know, before it come to the point, you know, where Nigerians have started reacting, you know, to started asking questions. What is it that is actually wrong? You know, why would he keep close to 4 years, no trial? They take him to court, they bring him back, nothing, because they know they cannot jail him because he has not committed any crime. So, you know, at this point in time, where you know, because they felt that no, nobody's going to do anything about Nnamdi Kanu. No, he's going to do that. He's going to do that. Nnamdi Kanu is a well-established personality, you know, all over the world, and you can see the uprising. They have given the Niger Delta have given an ultimatum running into a few days from now. You know, there's going to be massive destruction of oil pipelines in the Niger Delta region because they are asking the same question everybody's asking everywhere. You know, what has this man done? That has been the question. You know, even before the court, that has been the question. You know, even when Nnamdi Kanu step into the dock, that has always been the question. What has this man done? What led? How come? You know, this illegality is being perpetuated against this man. He was being kidnapped by a government, a democratically elected system. It's uncalled for. It's never done anywhere. It's unfortunate that most of the international community would have expected that by now they would have reacted to some of these developments drastically. You know, they only speak, you know, once in a while. But no matter how you look at it now, Nnamdi Kanu has successfully made every Nigerian, whether you're in the north, you're in the west, you're in the east, a Biafran.
Okay, now let us look at the angle of rule of law. Rule of law is being called to question here because from what will be said, though before we said it, so many other Nigerians have echoed that. Record that before now, Court of Appeal Nigeria declared free Nnamdi Kanu and declared his extraordinary rendition illegal and said that on the basis of that extraordinary rendition, that Nnamdi Kanu should be released unconditionally. It is not on record that federal government appealed that judgment. No. they appealed it. It's not a record that they apply for state execution. Up to the point where the Supreme Court asked them to go back to start the case de novo. It's not a record that there was a state of execution that would have deprived Nnamdi Kanu from enjoying that judgment before the Supreme Court said they should go back to start the trial afresh. What does it portend for the image of Nigeria if we are not respecting rule of law?
What Peter Obi was trying to unveil to the public, about the consequences of not obeying the rule of law. It goes with a lot of things, security challenges. It goes with banditry. It goes with thuggery. It goes with killing. It goes with kidnapping. You know, I don't forget to several times, even though Peter Obi was hammering on it, that court has granted this man bail, court has declared that this man is innocent, court has this, making references to law, law and order, of course, which is the basis of any democratic setting. But you can see, the government did not respond. They disobeyed court order. The judiciary also disabled. Everybody is, but this is banana zoo. That's what they call Nigeria, zoo. Where the rule of law there's no rule of law in Nigeria.
Now that we are seeing the political class coming into it, I'm coming, because when we saw House of Rep members, about 50 of them writing to the president demanding that Nnamdi Kanu be released, that is coming from political angle. Obi is a politician. There's no doubt about that. Calling for the release of Nnamdi Kanu. It means the political class are already buying into the idea that Nnamdi Kanu should be released. Let us have peace in the South.
It's not a matter of South peace. It's a matter of trying to redefine what people should be, what the government should be, what the people should look after. The kind of bad leadership we have in the. It's not about calling. Nnamdi Kanu has become a symbol of so many things. References are being made to him. People are people are referred to him, as the icon, of freedom. People refer to him as the man to watch. People refer to him as a man with many parts. People refer to him as the latest political theory to study. People make references to Nnamdi Kanu not because politicians are calling. But Nnamdi Kanu has become a reference point. That's what I'm telling you. By the time we begin to develop his philosophy, life and times, we begin to discover, that the impact of his personality all over Nigeria, not to talk of Africa, is something somebody cannot debate. So Nnamdi Kanu has become a factor in Nigerian political space, have become a factor in social economic space of Nigeria, has also become a factor, in the issue of security. Because if you can see that it has successfully made every Nigerian, irrespective of the region you come from, a Biafran. And what is Biafra? Biafra represents justice. Biafra represents hope. Biafra represent good governance. Biafra represent leadership. Biafra represent sovereignty, freedom. So Nigerian people have seen they are not actually free, even though they pretend to be one. So that is why you see, the consciousness, coming gradually, the sympathy coming, both not only from the political class, also from, the individuals, groups, opinion leaders, ethnic laws in Nigeria, both in the north and everywhere. It is coming gradually, and the momentum is going to an extent that that if Nnamdi Kanu is not freed, then the question of Nigerian existence, can easily be brought down completely, without any in just no time.
Okay, now let us look at another issue that P2B raised, where he talk about state capture under this current administration. Is this something you want to throw light into?
Yes, if you look at the state capture, even though he made references that also other detainees like the NSAS protesters, it's unfortunate that Tinubu has not responded to that, or his administration, any of his aides, responding to that. It's quite unfortunate, but we'll see that coming from that angle, that it looks like, Nigeria has been pocketed by individuals who do not have anything directly to offer Nigerians than to portray an understanding that will continue to show that Nigeria, is just a mere geographical entity that has no leadership, that has no rule of law, that anything goes, they can throw anything at any point, and they can even disobey their own law. They can go against themselves, there is no law and order, so if you look at what that word state capture, it means that everything is just upside down. Governance is not working. Rule of law there's no democracy in Nigeria. That's what it means. It's just like we are in a military disguised civilian military junta. That's it. That's where we find ourselves today, and it's quite unfortunate, that we continue to run this, as if that nothing is happening. But Nigeria is degenerating, to the point that if people are beginning to see, okay, I think it is better now. Let us move into regionalism. Or if regionalism is not working, let us use this option. But it became very significant and even worse under this clueless man that found himself. This is the first person in the history of Nigeria, that somebody was became president and was not voted.
Okay, now let us look at the issue of regionalism as a way of trying to return to old system of governance in Nigeria, old system of government, where some people are calling for returning to regionalism. Some people are talking about restructuring. Now, let me first of all take you on the issue of restructuring. Restructuring means so many things to different people. Some see it as resource control. Some see it as a way of devolving power from federal government to state government. Some see it as let us vulcanize the country. If you were to speak to this issue, where do you stand?
Yes, I've always made my little understanding on my position, on this issue of restructuring. Even though the first restructuring was done by Gowon without any consultation, where he enacted a police order and enacted and were able to create 12 states without consulting anybody, all in the interest of trying to bring a region, to his needs. But unfortunately, that did not succeed. I think that was the first restructuring we had, even though we project that we are running a federating unit. We are not really running any federating unit. Through the federalism, if there's anything like that, Nigeria has not experienced that. Before all these things will work, if Nigeria failed to sit down and come up with an indigenous constitution on how to govern themselves, how to rule themselves, all these things we are seeing today, we are talking about today, restructuring or no restructuring, it's not going to work. Then bye with that first, the issue of, because it has also, Jonathan gave them an option 2014 confab, when most ethnic laws and top politicians were selected, opinion professionals from 36 six geopolitical zones of the and they were all represented in Abuja, where they were trying to formulate a certain policy or constitution on how Nigeria, we should jettison this British system of constitution. Let Nigerians sit down first and look at what they have on ground, how they want to be governed, how they want to accommodate all the six geopolitical zones in the system, how they are going to go about the issue of security, and the rest of them. If away from that, if they have considered that there these options has automatically failed, then let me tell you that the regions, if established, are going to run their own constitution by themselves. They're not going to depend on any form of constitution from maybe federal. No, every region will now sit down and say, this is how we're going to be governed. It might be different from how a Yoruba man want to be governed. It can also be different from how an Hausa man want to govern. But an Igbo man want to look at how the region, I'm talking about the old eastern region, that has to do with the south and the southeast, marching together as a force. And of course we can also extend our hands to our brothers in Amazonia, because we need to exist. We have contributed so much. We have not tested what is called leadership governance. No tribe in this country has tested how the stuff Igbo man is made of in terms of presidency. But it's quite unfortunate. So all these things that the Western boys in Southwest boys in Asura currently now under Tinubu are pushing towards regionalism. If care is not taken, the North is going to kick it away completely and it will die, because it seems they are projecting an agenda they do not understand, or how to navigate it to the benefit of every region. One, when you talk about regionalism, what type of regionalism? When you talk about confederation, what type of confederation? When you talk about restructuring, what type of restructuring? Until all those things have been properly put in place, I'm telling you that Tinubu's government is going to be the worst government ever in the history of Nigeria in terms of policy failure, in terms of socio-economic development, in terms of human capacity, everything. The indices is pointing that Tinubu has become a threat to democracy in Nigeria.
Okay, let us leave Tinubu alone. Let us look at those that believe that restructuring should be by way of devolution of power.
I don't know why you said we should leave Tinubu alone.
No, what I'm saying is,
excuse me, you do not need to make this is a public forum. This is a platform. You should not say we should leave Tinubu alone. No, that's
no,
wrong.
the conversation is centered on
this is the president himself. This is everything about him is ends on his table. Whether the woman that is selling crayfish is also factored in his table.
No, what I'm saying is the conversation this morning is centered on a different issue.
Which you leave that word, leave Tinubu alone. No. Okay, look, move away a bit from the issue that surround Mr. Tinubu and the rest. I think that is
what I'm trying to say is, for the purpose of this conversation,
we should not leave him alone.
No, what I'm saying is,
he should account for everything. He should be held accountable for everything. Both his aides and everything, because he is the one that said he wants to be president, and unfortunately, Nigerians are regretting his presence in Nassau Rock.
What I'm trying to say in essence is, the focus of this conversation, I want us to stay on focus. Now, Mr. Chinedu Michael, I'm taking you back to the Southeast.
Good.
Professionals in the Southeastern part of the country are demanding for the extradition of Simon Ekpa, who is the Finland-based agitator for the restoration of the sovereign state of Biafra. They are decrying the issue of sit at home, that it is crippling the economic activities, is not doing anyone any good. What is your view?
Yeah, honestly, for me, I believe in what Emma Powerful are doing. I believe in what other people, in the hierarchy of IPOB are doing. I believe so much in the Supreme Commander himself, Mazi himself, Nnamdi Kanu. I believe so much in him. He has shown that he's a man. He has shown that he represents. If you look at when the issue of Simon Ekpa started coming, I begin to see him from the angle, the way I see the Steve Biko. If you have read about Steve Biko during the ANC, talk about South Africa, Mandela in those days, when he was Mandela was going, peacefully, agitating and making his, but the whites were killing the blacks in South Africa. Steve Biko sat down and said, oh, this cannot. There's need for them to have an arms. I'm not saying that Simon Ekpa is the arms wing of the in IPOB. I'm not saying that, So Steve Biko.
But what do you make of the call that Simon Ekpa should be extradited?
I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that, because and there was an arms swing was created then. Desmond Tutu, all of them objected to it, but when the whites were molding down the blacks in South Africa, and they discovered that the South Africans too are also armed, they have to fight back, with whatever means. Though Nelson Mandela was against it, and the rest. But we cannot continue to take bullets. The days when the Biafran blood is cheap is over. I think that's what now Simon Ekpa is trying to tell the whole world. That self-defense is guaranteed in the international law. They can't just fold their hands and somebody enters your house on just no cause and mow you down. No! So all those people that are saying that he should be brought down to East, I don't think they understand what the angle from which I'm seeing it. The issue of sit at home, IPOB has already stopped it. When we discovered that the federal government intentionally wanted it to go on so that they can successfully cripple the economy of the eastern states. Thank God for IPOB in their wisdom, they quickly adjusted, and that's what they call leadership. You have to be very dynamic. You have to be very careful. They adjusted, even though Saboniba went about and was calling sit at home must continue this and that until Nnamdi Kanu. Yes, to an extent. So the issue of people who were killed in Nnamdi Kanu's house, about 28 of them that were murdered in Nnamdi Kanu's house, during the military invasion. 28 men. Those they have brothers, they have sisters too, and they are big. They will ask questions at the end of the day. What Simon Ekpa is doing, Simon Ekpa is not in charge of any insecurity in the east. The people that created insecurity created it intentionally, and that is the federal government.
Okay, let me drag you to another area. We record that during the last court sitting, the judge, I'm talking about Justice Peter Nyako, directed, will I say directed, asked the parties to interface, relying on Section 17 of High Court Act that permits her to initiate or ask parties to see whether they could possibly settle out of court. And this may see Nnamdi Kanu's legal team interfacing with federal government, maybe through the office of the Attorney General of the Federation. In the event that a table for negotiation is provided, do you see an Nnamdi Kanu, or will you prefer an Nnamdi Kanu dropping Biafra agitation to regain his freedom? That's on one hand. The second part of it is, do you foresee a situation where a Simon Ekpa will be invited virtually to be part of the negotiation?
They should not honor any investigation, any negotiation with any federal government. They are not sincere. Federal government of Nigeria, you can see how bad the leadership has been in this country. They're not sincere. No negotiation. If they want to, they go then negotiate by themselves. The federal government have all the structures to go and negotiate if they feel they want to negotiate. Biafra, they have told them severally, even around the world, that Biafra is not negotiable. What they are negotiating, if possible, they should negotiate how they manage to bring the terrorists out in tag on Nnamdi Kanu. As simple as that. Nobody can negotiate Biafra. What federal government is doing is something they did. We saw it. When George Washington of America was trying to move the colonial masters from British in America at that time, they got them arrested and put them and charged them with treasonable. George Washington of America, go and take the list of people that were involved are there. Rockefeller, them, all of them, they were Madison, them, all of them, they were involved in that, James Madison, or in that struggle, to liberate America from the clutches of British rule as at that time. They were charged with treason. Were they killed? Were they jailed? I'm telling you that
if I may ask, are you opposed to conversation, negotiation, or roundtable, whatever nature?
No. What kind of negotiation? No, anything. Nnamdi Kanu understands the game. He has always told them. Even though maybe they pray that the lawyer understand the man behind the scene. If he doesn't understand the man behind the scene, he's on his own. Nnamdi Kanu has shown character. Whatever negotiation they're going to negotiate should be that the federal government to quash all the tag, all the charges they brought, not on Biafra. Why are you bringing Biafra inside negotiation? Negotiating for when you know that there's no referendum in the Nigerian constitution. Well, what are you going to do? What are trying to tell them that all these charges tag, useless tag, whether the one retrial or brought or hidden or whatever they have in their cupboard, federal government themselves, they should go there and settle it with themselves. The issue of the personality we are looking at, represent over 85 million people around the world. So are you telling me that you just bring the destiny of those 85 million just because of there's no government in Nigeria? There's no basis for that. The destiny of 85 million people should just be sold. Anybody, they know that Nnamdi Kanu is not going to buy into any rubbish negotiation. And he's taking his position. And of course, you can see the war is coming. Sumani is coming to Nigeria.
But his lawyer indicated interest to
No,
participate
you see,
in the process.
if you see, that is a smart young lawyer, a smart man. If you look at Ejimako very well, assessing, look at him deeply. He's a smart guy. The federal government know very well that they cannot defeat Nnamdi Kanu in their own court. So the magic is interest. Adjourn, adjourn, adjourn. And it has gotten to the peak where people are now asking questions. You see the dangers. So federal government is facing a uncertainty of toying with justice on Nnamdi Kanu. You see, the lawmakers, the 50 lawmakers use the word overdue. You don't want somebody, when something is overdue, sympathy has come. So now that the man Yanko is saying section 17 of Court of Appeal Act.
But she is relying on the constitution, don't you think so?
There's no problem. Why didn't he rely on the constitution? A week after they brought Nnamdi Kanu to kidnap him, you didn't see it there?
But do you have issue with her relying on the constitution to ask the parties
I have the issue because
see whether they could negotiate out of court?
Justice denied. I have issues. I will always have issues. You saw that federal government manipulated certain things and kidnapped this man from. It's a case of kidnap. The charges are there. Violation of the international.
I think the Nigerian court already established that. I'm talking about the appeal court where they heard that Nnamdi Kanu was extraordinary rendition from Kenya to Nigeria. But what is the issue now is federal government appealed the judgment to Supreme Court, and Supreme Court asked them to go back and start the trial from court of first instance. But the only thing that is lacking is it's not on record that federal government secured a state of execution of that court of appeal judgment before up to the point where Supreme Court gave order that the case should start de novo. But in the event that negotiation did not play out and the case continues, do you see Nnamdi Kanu getting justice in Nigeria?
Nnamdi Kanu is not even interested in getting any justice because that's not how you get justice in Nigeria. There's not anybody that's telling you that the justice in Nigeria is just being cosmetic with the truth. The fact, the reality are there. The everything about Nigeria is fake. It tells you when Peter B ran an election and won that election, did he get justice in the judiciary? Who has gotten justice in the judiciary? Okay. Nobody. There's no justice in Nigeria. We are not going. Nnamdi Kanu is not. Let me tell you, if you don't understand, let me tell you, you are the one that said Court of Appeal Act. It's a Court of Appeal Act. And then all of a sudden he came up with say, oh, Court of Appeal is there. There's an act. The lawyer can and whatever. Don't. Are you going to negotiate? You don't know. We know all those things, are just manipulations like Nigeria. If you go into negotiation with Nigeria, you will regret it at the end of the day because they can never even keep their own part of the negotiation.
Okay, now, lastly on this, Mr. Chinedu Michael, let us briefly look at what Professor Oloshenka said the other time, talking about Biafra being an ideology, and that when an issue is an ideology from a ideological point of view, that it is difficult to defeat. Was he speaking the truth?
Nobel laureate Oloshenka said the truth, and that is the truth, and nothing but the truth. Then, on this contest, how would you not say you want to negotiate Biafra? It's not possible. When Ojukwu move for the motion of confederation, let us they misinterpreted it to be secession.
Is it not late to go back to confederation?
Let me tell you, it is, because the option of it has been exhausted. Over 7 million people died in Nigeria Biafran War. It's just like talking about the issue of the Jews in Israel, how the Nazis were able to push them into gas chamber and burn down over 6 million Jews. Today, Israel is a nation. Ambazonia that they gave referendum and move away from the Biafra are going to join Biafra at the end of the day. from Biafran land. There's we are not going to look at all these things. My brother, all this negotiation you are saying, whether federal government will negotiate, these are just a tip of the iceberg. Because you know that the resources will become a major powerhouse, not only in Africa, not in the world. The black man ingenuity has never been tapped. And you can only see that.
Does it rest with the Biafra?
Yes! 100%. No, 200%. Why are they mocking black men? You go today, they say, give them banana. They are yet, because they have not been able to, rediscover their ingenuity, what God has given to them.
What is that potential in the Biafra man, that will make that ingenuity to manifest?
You now ask God, why is it that the sun rises from the east?
You want us to ask God?
No,
but for the purpose of this conversation, I'm
telling you, no, because you are going into something that will take us another hours, to start talking about. But what I'm putting it to you now, you would have asked God why the sun rises from the east.
I think it's at the discretion of God.
Yes, and the benefit, the struggle, the strength that comes with that, it should also be the discretion of God.
If you say so.
That's what you just said.
No, I've not said anything other than relying on discretion of God.
That's what I'm saying now. You understand? He said it was God's decision to do it.
So, at his discretion.
Yes, whatever, however you look at it, you understand. It is, thank God, it was no man's discretion. It was God. So you said, is there anything, like I said, okay, you would have asked yourself, why is it that the sun rises from the east? So there must be something, that goes with it. And those things, is God's discretion. That's why, anytime I tell you that, the Biafran cause is not about Nigeria, Senate, or presidency, or Africa, no, or the world. It's connected to divinity.
Okay, now, Mr. Chinedu Michael, as we round up this program, what is your parting word?
Honestly, Nnamdi Kanu is going to work out. Sometime a few months ago, when these things have not started, I said it that in just no time, Nnamdi Kanu will be released. If you can remember, if you go and watch my previous interviews on this platform, I saw the movement, and I told distance time before all these pressures started coming from the north, from the west, from the east.
When you say you saw, was it spiritually or physically?
Yes. If you look at, because I take time, I'm a Biafranist. What I mean by Biafranist, I believe in the theory of Biafra. When I see it moving, I think to understudy it and look at it from different perspectives. Like even when Nnamdi Kanu was kidnapped, and from when I saw it, I read a lot of things. I interpreted it in my way, and most of those things, interpretations I gave, I still have some percentage of success in them. Like what I'm telling you, when I saw the handwriting on the wall, when I saw it, when I begin to look at certain moves by the federal government, and some other things, I begin to say it a few months ago that in no distant time, Nnamdi Kanu will be released. I was just mentioning it before this pressure. So it's only a matter of it, because I've come to be studying anything that has to do with Nnamdi Kanu, anything that has to do with Biafra, anything that has to do with the ideology of the I tribe. I don't
meaning it's just a mere analysis using the present premises to extrapolate what is likely going to happen.
It's my intellectual property.
That's what I'm trying to say. You analyze the situation currently and you use that to extrapolate what is likely going to happen.
How I go about it is that, because you might not devote that kind of time and energy, I'm trying to look at the major player, the angels of Biafra. Like when I want to put it that angle, you look at the angels of Biafra, how they go about their things and all that, and then you look at also at the position, the era around the world, what the Middle East is saying, what the African ECOWAS is saying, what the AU is saying, what the Asia is saying. You look at the political calculation, coming from the Brexit. Look at so many factors. Obama, Biden, Donald Trump. When you look at the settings and everything, you know that the time for proclamation, restoration of Biafra is close. Those are the factors I look at. So when I study what the Northerners are doing, what the federal government is doing, and what IPOB is doing, I know that at the end of the day, that the possibility of announcing the I tribe, is very close.
Mr. Chinemaka, I think I must say a very big thank you for your time. This is a good place to let it go.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time. This is Satellite Media. Thank you, our SFVers, for being with us. Thank you very much, Mr. Chinemaka.
Thank you.